Well, it looks like we're live.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Brian has a song for you.
Yes, I do. And this is going to give away the title of what we're going to be talking about.
Here.
You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. You put your right foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out. You put your left foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Right on.
So we had Elmo singing that. That's for our granddaughter, Emma.
She loves her some Elmo. Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning. It is 10 o'clock on the nose, and we would like to welcome everyone to our live broadcast, our Saturday broadcast, sponsored by Caregiver Support and Resources, your place to go for all your needs and all the information that you need to know regarding
Aging and living with dementia and life care planning.
She does it all, folks.
Can you put it on? Click the button that says comments. I think it is.
Okay.
See up there at the very top on the right, under where it says end broadcast. Keep going to the right. Keep going to the right. Go down. Bam.
Oh, I see right there. Okay. There we go. Beth Reiner.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I'm not able to.
And Melinda, thank you. She was dancing. I wish you would videotape that next time so we can all see. Linda Burhan, we're going to see you in a little while, and we're going to be joining Linda on her radio show called Connecting Caregivers Radio, and we're going to be discussing
the big conference that Linda has coming up for caregivers in November. Right. Linda, if you want to type in the title of your conference, that'd be great. And then we're also going to be talking about what's going to be happening here on Facebook Live in September for We Are Dementia Strong.
Okay. So there we go. But today we're going to talk about, we put Hokey Pokey because that's kind of what we do. But this is about what Maureen and I do basically on a daily basis. When we're out, when we're at home, when we're speaking, all these different things. It's basically my way of, let's put it this way. If I'm stumbling on a word, I try not to look at the script, but I have to have notes in front of me. I don't remember what I'm supposed to say from one moment to the next. Maureen always positions herself in the audience, in the front row, facing me so that she can help me. If I stumble on a word, if I'm not able to get my words out because I'm just for one reason or another, I will look to her and she'll throw me a word, or she will just say the sentence or whatever it is that I'm looking for, because she knows what I'm going to be talking about.
Or I think I do.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes I'm surprised.
Well, 90% of the time you're right. Okay. Sorry.
It's the magical 10% when I'm always surprised.
And yes, we do laugh. So that's a good thing.
But interestingly, Brian yesterday had written out a beautiful presentation to do, and he took it up there, and dementia played with his brain while he was up there, and he would read what was on the sheet, which is not the way he normally presents, number one. So it was hampering his style. But then he'd forget, because he'd look up at the audience when he got to the bottom of the page and try to interact with them, and he'd forget he had just read that page, and he'd go back to the top of the page and read it again. So I don't know that was necessary. I think you live and in person is still far, far better than you writing something down.
Yeah, I know.
And I can usually help you even when you're doing impromptu.
I thought about this last night. I think what I'm going to do is just make, I guess, Cliff Notes. You remember those?
Yes.
So I can look and see what I'm supposed to talk about, put a topic. Instead of having everything written out, I can just look at the topic that I want to talk about and then talk about it. And then if I need, a word or something like that.
And the other thing, yesterday people just were very complimentary of what you said and the information you shared. But one of the things they suggested after watching the presentation was that you and I be up there together. Talking, because we play well off of each other. And we've shown everybody over and over again on Saturday here on Facebook Live that's our strength now. That's the hokey pokey we're doing right now, is having ourselves together. I wanted to give a quote. There was a beautiful, beautiful woman that I have heard speak many times. Her husband is living with dementia. Her name is Sarah Rowan, and her husband's name is Joseph Rowan. And I am not quoting her directly, but she would say that every morning when they got up, her husband would tell her by his actions and his words what particular dance they were going to be doing today, and she would dance that dance with him. And that's what I feel adjusting is. I watch the cues from Brian as to what today's going to be, and we dance our dance according to that. Now, I would guess that later on down the road, Sarah experienced some of the same thing that I do, and that is we may wake up doing the disco dancing, and then by lunch we're doing the tango, and then by nighttime we're doing the shuffle or the electric slide.
And then before going to bed, we would probably do it in the heating pad. So.
So today we wanted to talk about those adjustments, and I apologize. Today I'm sitting back here. We had to use Brian's computer. I can't see the comments that you're making. I can't see them on my phone either. So.
Oh, well, let's see. Myrna Alvarez, she said, "Wow, okay." We already told Beth good morning and Linda good morning.
Okay, Myrna, I didn't get to say good morning. Good morning, Myrna. And Jim, good morning, Jim.
Bobby.
Good morning, Sister Bobby.
And then, we told Linda Burhands hi.
And what's the name of the conference?
The conference is Connecting Caregivers Conference.
And there's a website,
yes.
www.connectingcaregiversconference.com. And so Linda's doing this in November, and Brian and I will be speaking at it. And then today, if you go to her Connecting Caregiver Radio, you can listen to the radio show, and we're going to be talking about this conference, because this is her 4th annual conference, and they are always sold out and very, very, very interesting. So, okay, Did I miss saying good morning to anybody? I said good morning to Melinda.
Yeah.
I said good morning to Mike Nixon. Okay, we just wanted everyone to know how much we love and appreciate you. Please don't think. There's Mike. What Mike share with us today? Mike is living with dementia.
And he writes, I have found bullet notes helpful, but agree your strength is interaction between you and Maureen. Plus, like us, when I have to pause and look at Darnice to help, it demonstrates to others communications can be accomplished. And that's true.
That's true. That's very true. I find many of you have gotten to know me and my personality. Some of you have known me for years and years, and you already know what a pain I can be. But some of you can appreciate that just by hearing me. But I'm a big routine person. Yeah. I like to set up routines because that's how we don't miss medications. That's how we remember to eat. That's how we remember to drink our water. And dementia just doesn't like routines. Dementia likes to go all crazy and wild. It's like Steve Martin.
And so does Brian.
Well,
when dementia makes me do that. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. That's one thing that we argue about is the routine, because I don't like routines. I don't like being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and so forth. Maureen has everything. It would amaze you at what she has all put together for me, so that I can have a good life, so that we can have a good life, and with less anxiousness, with less argument. Everything is all set up, and I need that. And as I progress, I'm going to need more of that. So I'm really trying to listen to what she's saying. And sometimes she'll say something and I ask why. That's kind of my go to word and words. And sometimes she'll tell me, and sometimes I think I probably may have asked that question like 400 times before. So it doesn't make it easy on her. However, it does seep into my head, but it only seeps into my head for that moment. As we go along on this journey, which I couldn't do without this woman here, that I try to remember what she has said before, but sometimes I forget, and that brings stress, anger.
Who are you talking about? You or me?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, me.
It brings frustration.
Frustration. Thank you.
That's why I asked who we were talking about.
Yeah.
Stress.
I try. I really do try, because if I do the things that she set forth for me, my life would be wonderful. Now, my life is wonderful, largely due to Maureen. For those of you that knew me pre-Maureen, I was a bit of a mess. I had frozen waffles in the freezer. And that's what I lived off of.
But what brought us together? Frozen waffles and
bananas,
peanut butter.
Oh, peanut butter and syrup.
That I knew we were meant to be when I opened his freezer and I said, "What? This is all you're eating is waffles?" He said, "No, I'm putting peanut butter and syrup on them." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." I love peanut butter and syrup waffles.
And that was the beginning, folks. But it's getting a little bit harder for me to remember things from one day to the next. Like right now, I'm in the moment. I have no idea what I'm going to continue talking about. And so is get to that point where my brain just goes blank. I do this. And I look at her because she'll be able to pick up right where I left off. And it's just we do really dance. Yeah. It turns out to be a dance.
So the other thing we've been doing for adjustment purposes is anticipating. We're trying to anticipate some of what's going to happen in the future. And Brian does not like thinking about the future.
No.
But when Brian is going into a fog, in a fog, or just coming out of a fog, I find that he's the most open and fresh, and no, maybe raw is the better word, about what his fears are about the future. And what he almost always says to me is, "I'm afraid I'm not going to come out of this fog one day." And so one of the things, or a couple of the things that we work on pretty regularly, are methods of bringing him out of the fog for however far we can bring him out of the fog. And then methods of he and I communicating when and if the time ever comes that he's nonverbal. And we are also working on what if the time comes that he can't remember who Maureen is. I want him to have that feeling. He may not be able to say Maureen. He may not be able to, connect the face he's looking at with the name. But I want him to have the feeling of Maureen bringing safety, Maureen loving him, Maureen caring for him, and hopefully, I don't know, because once people get to this stage, they can't talk to us sometimes, but I'm hoping it'll give him some reassurance that things have not completely changed. And one of the ways that we're doing that is through different methods of eye contact, where we have physical contact. I tickle the palm of his hand. We look into each other's eyes deeply, or when he's coming in out of a fog, I hold his hand, but I tickle the palm of his hand because it always makes him smile. And I figure that's another thing that'll make him feel that he's safe, that the person who's with him is safe. So these are all adjustments. As dementia brings us new challenges, we'll find new adjustments, right?
Yep. And it's a bit scary when I when I go into a fog, and like Maureen said, if you feel trapped in this this thing. I can't really explain of how it feels, but it
is it scary?
Yeah, because I'm working against. Okay, here's I'm using my brain to work against my brain.
But that's where your bub comes in.
Right.
Your backup brain, me.
Right. And I had to call upon that backup brain yesterday several times.
And I got to tell you that even though we all wish that we didn't have ego, we do. And I know that it was a hard hit to Brian's ego yesterday to have to rely on his bub. But what I try to do is I try to make it humorous so that it doesn't look so much like he's relying on me as that it is just what it is. It's part of our normal and natural being together, our normal and natural reliance on each other. I can't be nearly as funny without Brian. And so I rely on him a great deal. Our friend and one of Brian's care partner team members, Quinn, was with us yesterday at the speaking event. And I loved how Brian not only picked on me during the thing, but he picked on Quinn. And again, it was the humor involved. We had interesting presentation because several of the people in the presentation, attending the presentation, were living with some form of dementia.
Right.
And we heard a lot of perspectives. One of the questions was, what do we do about asking if Brian experiences sundowning? I had to say that I don't believe that sundowning is so much an experience or a symptom as it is a way of people with dementia communicating with us that something's going on. And I've found that using SAD lights, seasonal affective disorder lights, helps to create a mood of less anxiousness. We use essential oils. And I wouldn't say Brian does sundowning so much as his cognitive energy is winding down at the end of the day. It gets harder for him, and that gets more frustrating for him. And like any other human being in the face of the earth, as you get tired and frustrated, you get cranky. And so I need to not put him in the situation of when he's out of we need to have me not use the word cognitive anymore. When he's out of cognitive energy, I don't want to be having a conversation with him about let's plan how we're going to go out to Arizona. Makes him a little anxious.
Yeah. That thrills me to no end, ladies and gentlemen.
So, one person with dementia,
one person with dementia.
So what works for Brian and I may or may not work for somebody else. We've always said, what does that message say?
I don't know. It's one of the programs.
Okay. We've always said we're out here sharing our experience. We're not telling anybody that what works for us is going to work for them. We love to hear we had a lady whose husband has dementia tell us yesterday that, and if you think I can be grumpy, tell us that every morning she puts an alarm clock on the floor and has her husband, who lives with dementia, hang his head over the side of the bed for 6 to 8 minutes to get the blood and he does breathing exercises to get the blood running to his brain before she'll deal with him at all during the day. And that works for them. I'm afraid if I hung Brian upside down, he'd fall down. So I will not hang him upside. I was thinking I could get him those gravity boots that you hang to the door thing, but no, I'm not going to go there.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. This is when we share speaking duties, but I marvel at the brain. The brain is such a complex part of all of us. And when it starts misfiring, it grabs your attention very quickly. And I think that's what you'll hear other people talking about their brain fog, or when everything goes blank in their head and they can't remember, they can't just they can't remember what they just said, but they can't remember even what the conversation was about. And it happens like that. And we all have the same fear. Like we said in the beginning of the show, it's like, I know that one day I'm not going to come out of my fog. So
I don't think you know that for certain.
Well, I might.
It could happen, absolutely.
Right.
But I don't think you know that for certain.
Well,
I don't.
I'm going to fight it until I can't.
I mean, I have known many people living with dementia who never went to I've known them through to the end, and they never went and stayed in the fog. You know, they got deeper into the fog and remained deeper into the fog, but they never went all the way and stayed all the way.
Yeah.
There are some that have. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I don't, you're the one that always gets off after me for looking, because my job in life is to look at the worst case scenario and playing backwards. And who's always getting on me for that? So don't give your brain permission to go into the fog and stay there.
But you say, and then, this is why we call this the Hokey Pokey show. Maureen's a planner, and I'm sorry, what does being in the fog mean? Oh, okay. That's a good question. We use the term fog because, and the way that I describe it is, if you're driving down a winding road, and when you turn the bend, you'll hit a fog bank. And what do you do when you hit that fog bank? You slow down, and you keep crawling at a very slow pace, because you can't see anything in front of you or in back of you. So you keep moving, but at a different pace, until you get out of the fog. And then you take off again until you hit another fog bank around the next bend. This can go on all day, or it could happen in smaller intervals. But that's what we mean. It's not the physical weather fog. It's just fog. That's what we call it, is fog in the brain. That takes away what you were thinking, what you were talking about, and all kinds of other things.
And when you're the person watching
excuse me,
someone in the fog, literally their eyes get a blank stare and they look like they're scared. So I've driven in very thick fog, and I'm sure that's what my face looked like when I was driving in the fog. And the whole time I'm driving in the fog, I'm thinking, is it safer to pull over, or is it safer to keep going? And if I pull over, nobody's going to be able to see me there. But if I keep going and someone's going faster, they could run into me. And I kind of imagine, when you're in a fog, you're thinking, what's the best thing I can do right now? And probably nothing.
Right. You just have to keep moving forward as much as you can.
Mike Nixon said it's more like a house of mirrors for him.
That's interesting.
On the outside, you can read it better than I can.
Yeah, it says, we don't know, maybe what appears to complete fog, more of a house of mirrors for me. On the outside, we are the inside, we are in the inside and might be able to hear between the clouds or beyond the glass. That's a very good analogy of what brain fog is. But we make up stuff, because what happens, with Mike, we both talked about our brain fog, but mine's different than his. And then the next person, theirs is different than both of us. That's how it works. With Maureen and I, we have discussions every day about stuff. And yes, we differ on opinion sometimes. And I gotta say that she's the logical one. I'm working in the moment. So those are two types of conversations going on that we both are trying to convince the other one that they're right.
When it becomes really, really fun is when I realize we're no longer talking about the same thing. So Brian and I will be having a conversation about something and we start to disagree. And what I've had to learn to do is to stop and listen, not to reply, but listen to hear him. And most of the time when we start to disagree in our conversation, what I realize is Brian's brain has taken him to another subject matter, and what I'm saying is making zero sense to him because it's got nothing to do with what he's thinking about.
Right.
And what makes me both laugh and be embarrassed at the same time is, in being a patient advocate, I try to always remember that I've never learned anything listening to myself talk. So when I'm with my clients, I am in listening mode to hear what they have to say, not to reply. And then I come home to Brian and all of a sudden I forget. I'm like, okay, we don't live by any rules here. We just go for it. And then I have to step back and remember I've never learned anything listening to myself talk. And when I'm listening to Brian, I need to be listening to learn. And now there's sometimes we just have knockdown drag outs about the same thing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, one thing that Brian does not like talking about in the future is that, I'm going to have to continue working to keep this ship afloat. And there may come a time where I can't leave him alone. So my thought is that we start interviewing people that we could have come and just be with him. And I don't want to have people he doesn't know and that don't know him be here with him. So I want to start it while he can have conversations with these folks, while he can give me input and feedback. Oh, no. We're not going to do that. He tells me the other day, he says, I'll just leave if you do that. I'm like, okay. That will solve the problem for me. So.
And by leave, I'll probably walk to the mailbox and come back. Because that's sometimes what it takes, is to remove yourself. I have to understand that I am, when we have our I'll just say our talks,
our educational opportunities.
The further I get into it, I realize just how smart she is. And I know that I can argue from now until infinity. And I'll still be wrong. But
Not always.
well, not always, but the majority of the time.
No.
But the
You
thing
make
is,
a lot of good points. That's why I try to listen.
okay. But we may still have a difference of
I want you to hear what Linda Burhan said. She said, "You have a tribe of friends that would love to spend time with Brian."
A tribe. I've never had a tribe before.
Maybe she's talking about my tribe.
Oh.
Of course, my tribe is your tribe.
Linda, who you're talking about me having a tribe, correct?
I think she's going to say we both have one.
Yeah, I know. She wants to include you. But, that's what I talked about earlier about reaching a point where I know I'm not going to be able to be by myself.
Linda said, yes, both of us have a tribe.
Okay. I know that my time is going to come where I can't be left alone. And when Maureen starts bringing up, people that can come and stay with me and so forth, I get extremely, extremely anxious. And then she talks about, well, they can come in beforehand several times just to get to know you and for you to get to know them. And so that when the time comes, when they come to the door, you'll hopefully remember who they are, how they act, and what they're doing here. And now that settles me now. But later, I'm not really sure how that is going to I don't know how that's going to work itself out. That's what I get anxious about.
Well, but I also give you options. I say, well, if this isn't what you want, then the other option we have, because I have to keep working,
right, is
doing something like adult daycare.
Oh, no. Okay, no. I don't want to do that. And I've expressed that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's fine. But right now, in the stage that I'm in,
I'm not talking about now.
I know. But I can't, if I start thinking about that or get into a discussion about that.
They can hear it in your voice right now. Just having this conversation, you hear how he gets, right? So then here comes my dilemma is I respect Brian. I feel that I want to include him and hear his opinion so that he can give me as much input into what his life will be and his care will be. But ultimately, the responsibility falls to me. And ultimately, I need to find that balance. And again, it's like a dance. I need to find the balance between keeping Brian safe and healthy and giving him a life worth living and honoring his wants and his needs. But if he says to me, I'm just going to stay alone and I know that's no longer safe, then I don't just leave him alone. I think that people living with dementia can feel the vibe of the person coming in the room, whether they know them or not, is what Melinda said.
Yeah.
So, well, we're running up against the end of the show. So, is there something you would like to wrap up? Because I have something I'd like to tell them.
Go ahead.
So, we are dedicating the month of September to, and this is a very long title, a dementia-friendly world. Specifically, we want to have the persons living with dementia and their care partners being able to have a well-rounded, healthy spiritual life. And so we have asked 4 groups of people to speak, each with different perspectives, different answers, different experiences. So each month, each Saturday in the month of September, we're going to have different speakers on that topic. And I'm going to put out an advertisement for it. And I'd really appreciate all of you guys who we love so much spreading the word about this, because to me, I had somebody tell me the other day, oh, well, my church has a dementia-friendly worship service when I was talking about this. I said, really? I didn't know there were any in Pinellas County. She said, yeah, we have a room, and the people with dementia can go stay in the room. And I said, well, what do they do in the room? Oh, they just stay there. Is there anybody with them? Yes. We have somebody who's in there with them to make sure that they're safe. And I said, well, do you do any kind of worship service with them? Do you give them any opportunity to, participate in? Oh, no, we have magazines for them to look at. I'm like, that's not a dementia-friendly worship service. So we're going to hear some different ideas, and we're going to learn how to help our world be more dementia-friendly in the spiritual realm.
What that reminds me of what that person said is that it reminds me of the crying rooms
for the
children. And let's just put the children in there with with either one or both parents, and so that we can have out here a nice service without any interruption.
Well, and that's the crying room, and a lot of churches have children's church, and that's not,
right.
I don't want to do dementia church. I want the service to be for everybody, people living with dementia, their care partners, people in the community, but it to be structured to be something that is nourishing for everyone.
Right.
And there's, well-tested, time-proved methods of doing this.
Right.
So anyway, I'll get that ad out, and we will be rocking and rolling. It'll show you everybody we're having speaking. We're having, if you're a longtime listener, you remember Linda Everman and Don Wendorf. They're going to be on one Saturday, and Dr. Daniel Potts, who's a neurologist, and his lovely wife, Ellen, are going to be on. And then we're going to have Deborah Jackson.
From my hometown.
From New Orleans. And then we're also going to have Dr. Fayron Epps. And if you want to read about this, her first name is Fayron. Her last name is EPPS. Please Google her. You're going to be amazed. She is one of the leaders in this. So I'm excited about it. Yay!
Yay. So, all right. But yeah, that's something that we're both looking forward to, because we feel like it's going to be very informative for anybody that wants to tune in, and it's from all different
spiritual walks. It's not just one spiritual base. So Beth Reinhardt says, great topic. She's going to be glad to share.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
And Mike Nixon says, amen to dementia-friendly worship service. Our souls can still commune with God. So yes, and yes. I will get that ad out there. I've got to talk to Kelsey this week and get that started. And we'll rock and roll.
And speaking of rock and roll, Melinda, she wants to dance. She says, let's dance.
Well, she also said that you two haven't had your opportunity to rock out together.
I know. We have to get together so we can have what's
jam session.
Yeah, but what's the program? The Hollywood Square things.
Oh, Zoom.
Zoom, yeah. We can get on Zoom with each other, and we're gonna play guitar and sing and all that kind of good stuff.
And maybe Delta will go away and we can do it in person together.
Delta?
COVID.
Oh. Okay. I thought you meant the airline. And I did. Okay.
Okay, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Saturday.
Thanks for joining us, and y'all have a great week.
End broadcast.